In 2012, Disney purchased the rights to Star Wars, which was met with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Now look, Disney had a track record of making mostly great films. In fact, in 2009, it had purchased the Marvel Studios, and in 2012, it released The Avengers, which was met with critical success, financial success, so who was to say that they wouldn't do the same thing for Star Wars? And to get Star Wars fans excited, it announced that it was going to make Episode 7 and a brand new sequel trilogy. And as we know, looking back, that sequel trilogy united fans and was beloved the world over. Okay, maybe not, and that is a whole other video dissecting that sequel trilogy. Now, something else that Disney were working on was Disney Plus, a streaming platform for all of their content, of which Star Wars would be a big part of that. And they announced that they were going to make live-action Star Wars TV shows. So they'd obviously had experience with animated stuff, the Clone Wars, Rebels, but these were going to be live-action shows, kicking off with The Mandalorian. And since then, not only have we had The Mandalorian, we've also had the Book of Boba Fett, we've had Andor, Obi Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka, The Acolyte, and Skeleton Crew. Each of them having varying levels of success. With Andor Season 2 coming out later this month, it's currently April 2025, I thought I would just take a few moments in this video to rank the currently released live-action Star Wars TV shows. I am so looking forward to the comments on this one. So if you do enjoy this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. If you enjoy this and want to see more geeky content from myself, go ahead and subscribe. You'll help me get towards my next goal of 1,000 subscribers. And of course, let me know your rankings in the comments as well. Let's get into it. So before we get started, I just want to address a couple of things. Number one, this isn't my normal voice. I apologize. I have 2 children. One of them is a toddler that goes to nursery, so he is waging biological warfare on my immune system, which is why I sound like this. But the main thing I want to address is how are we going to do this? Well, first of all, we're going to be using Tiermaker. So we're going to have S tier, A, B, C, and D. As I've mentioned, I am only going to be focusing on the live action shows. So I'm not going to be talking about any of the animated things. So Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Rebels, Tales, none of that is going to be discussed here. Even though my toddler definitely wants me to talk about Young Jedi Adventures. By the way, S tier all the way. And one last thing as well, I am going to be ranking each individual season of The Mandalorian. So The Mandalorian is the only show so far that has multi-seasons. I feel that there is enough differences in the quality of each season to justify doing them separately. Plus, I wanted to make this video go on for longer. Let's start at the beginning. Mandalorian Season 1. As the first live-action Star Wars TV show, expectations were definitely high for this. Luckily, it delivered. It sets itself up as this Western in space. It's set after the events of Return of the Jedi, and it introduces us to the Mandalorian Din Djarin and Grogu, one of Yoda's species and a former Jedi youngling. Each episode just has a simple standalone story, and it does have bits that lead into the sort of overarching story, but this is something that modern TV doesn't do enough. Just tell a story within an episode and then move on. Mandalorian does it so well. I loved this season, and it's one that I've gone back and rewatched. S tier. The Mandalorian Season 2. So the second season of The Mandalorian continues that same storytelling style, but this time we see Din Djarin being tasked with returning Grogu to the Jedi. We see an expansion of the universe, so we have some characters from the first season returning, but we actually get some characters from the expanded universe as well as the movies joining the cast as well. So we have Boba Fett, Cobb Vanth, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, they all join in. And this all comes to a very thrilling climax at the end of season with the return of Luke Skywalker. Darth Vader, you may have had your hallway scene in Rogue One. Luke gets his too. Overall, I do feel like this is a good season, even though it's not quite as good as the first. I think one of his biggest flaws is that It's definitely starting to dip into that mistake the MCU has, where it tries to link everything together, and now you've got to have watched X, Y, and Z to understand what's going on here. It's not quite there yet, but it's just starting. A tier. The Book of Boba Fett. I loved that they used Patton Oswalt's filibuster speech from Parks and Recreation as part of the introduction of this show.
Hand down from the twin sons of Tatooine, we are now close on the mouth of the Sarlacc.
I love that they brought back Tamura Morrison, so he returns as Boba Fett. I say he returns as Boba Fett. Technically never played Boba Fett before, but you know what I mean. I love Cad Bane being the bad guy. I love Matt Berry being a voice of a droid. I love the story of Boba Fett being with the Tusken Raiders and us finding more about their culture. And I almost wish that the entire show had been that. Instead, we got this. The most frustrating thing about the Book of Boba Fett is that it didn't actually get good until The Mandalorian appeared, essentially turning the Book of Boba Fett into The Mandalorian Season 2.5. The other thing that frustrates me as well is that this show undoes the very satisfying conclusion of Season 2 of The Mandalorian by reuniting Grogu and Din Djarin. D tier. Obi Wan Kenobi. Set between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, this show saw the return of not just Ewan McGregor, but Hayden Christensen to Star Wars. While there is a lot to enjoy in this show, it's not good. It's not bad either. The problem is that this show was supposed to be a movie, but because of the performance of Solo in the cinemas, the studios got scared and decided to retool Obi-Wan Kenobi as a TV show, and you can tell it drags in places. It repeats plot points several times. Like, how many times does Leia need to be kidnapped? And it does end up having one of the dumbest set pieces I have ever seen in any form of media. And I have seen the movie Freddy Got Fingered. This is petty, but my biggest disappointment is that in the final battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, they didn't have Darth Vader stand over Obi-Wan and say, "Now I have the high ground." If they just said that, they'd just done that, this show, oh yeah, it would probably be in the S tier. As it stands, B tier. Andor. Okay, full confession time. This show took me 3 attempts to get into. Everyone kept telling me how good it was, but I'd watched the first episode, it was too slow. Watched the first 2 episodes, still too slow. Came back to it, watched the first 3 episodes, and got absolutely hooked. I'm glad that I persevered with it. The show follows Cassian Andor from the movie Rogue One, but what this show really does well is that it shows what it's like as ordinary people to live under the Empire. Yes, it moves at a glacial pace, but this gives you the chance to develop empathy and understanding for the plight of these characters. And just like the end of Season 2 Mandalorian, the end sequence is completely worth the wait. S tier. The Mandalorian Season 3. Now, first of all, I just want to clarify that I still think this season is good, but there is a notable drop-off from the first 2 seasons. Din Djarin and Grogu, through the events of the Book of Boba Fett, are now reunited, but it does feel like they don't really know what to do with Grogu. He's just there. And on top of that, Din's kind of pushed to the background in this one, and the focus really goes to sort of Bo-Katan. And look, I don't have a problem with that per se. I mean, her story was really, really good, but it did change the show a lot. It was a very different show. But the biggest drag for me, the thing that sort of really drags this show down to the rating that I'm going to give it, is episode 6, which on paper should be a great episode. One of the guest stars is Christopher Lloyd. And it's a detective story. So they go down and it's to do with droids and actually looks at how droids are treated as second-class citizens in this new republic. And that's just fascinates me. But what takes me away every time I watch that episode, just totally breaks the immersion, is not Jack Black, it's Lizzo, who is giving high school play energy to her role. B tier. Ahsoka. Look, I feel like the title of this show is completely misleading. It shouldn't have been called Ahsoka. It's Rebels Season 5. It's live action Rebels. And if you've seen Rebels like I have, that's perfectly fine. However, it's done that thing that the MCU has done, and it's created a barrier to entry. You have to really seen Rebels to understand some of these characters and their motivations going into this show. That being said, it's still fun, still really good. It's got some great casting. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Harrison Dula, Ray Stevenson as Balin Skull, Lars Mikkelsen as Thrawn, all really well cast. And some really great set pieces as well, especially episode 5, where again, Hayden Christensen returns. We see the live-action Clone Wars, which really puts into perspective how young Ahsoka was when the Clone Wars happened. B tier. The Acolyte. Oh boy. This show frustrates me. Like, it's based during the High Republic, so we're going to be getting the Jedi at the height of their powers. We have a story that's completely uncoupled from the Skywalker, so no baggage on there. We get introduced to some great new characters like Saul, Jekki, and Kamir, and we have the introduction of a pretty famous Sith Lord. Don't know if you've heard of him. And we get a Wookiee Jedi as well. Like, how cool is that? These are all things that should be cool, but despite all the flashiness, the pretty awesome lightsaber battles, the twists and turns and slow reveals, the show is just completely let down by some poorly written characters with dubious motivation. And as it stands, it looks like it's going to be a one and done, despite the fact that it is still proving to be pretty popular in terms of numbers on Disney+. C tier. Skeleton Crew. This is billed as a coming-of-age adventure, and if there is a very succinct way that I can describe this show, it's the Goonies in space.
Goonies never say die!
We join Wim, Neil, Fern, and KB as they accidentally end up going on an adventure in space, and they encounter pirates, they encounter the New Republic, they encounter a very well-cast Jude Law. And look, fundamentally, this show, it's just a lot of fun. It's well written, it's well paced, it's really smart, and every episode left me wanting to know, needing to know what would happen next. At the end of episode 7, like, that was a proper moment for me. S tier. There you have it, my ranking of the current live-action Star Wars shows on Disney+. What do you think? Do you agree with my rankings, or, I mean, am I going to regret asking what you think? Go on, just tell me in the comments. What do you think? If you've enjoyed the video, please go ahead and give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You'll help me get towards my goal of 1,000 subscribers. I'm also going to pop in my social media links into the description below, as well as my Discord, which you're more than welcome to join if you want to continue the conversation. Thanks for watching.